Hello, my name is Eden, and I am an INFJ according to Myers-Briggs, which stands for Introverted, Intuitive, Feeling, and Judging. And that means that I think in terms of possibilities and the future, but also in terms of people. But at the same time, I like rules and schedules in my life, and I also like my alone time too. So, those are two very different things, but as we will see, those go together really well actually. So when you look at something called the cognitive function stack of INFJs, it shows how all those letters blend together. And we see something really interesting. First, the top one, the dominant function, is the NI, which means that the INFJ is going to mainly be thinking in terms of their deep insights and deep thoughts and patterns and predictions and complexity, like the future possibilities, that kind of thing. That is the main way that INFJs think. But secondary to that is FE, which is the feeling function. And the interesting part is that the N, the dominant function, is the I goes with that. The introverted function goes with that. But with the F, it's FE, the extroverted goes with that. And so also when INFJs think of themselves, they're going to think of themselves like intuitively. They're going to process intuitively. But when INFJs are thinking about other people, when they're dealing with other people, then they're going to be more feeling. And when they're more feeling, it's going to be feelings about other people. So that makes them very, very empathetic and able to really put themselves in other people's shoes. The third one in the cognitive function stack is TI, which is introverted thinking. And so they have, right below the feeling is the INFJ's thinking function, which is not actually part of the INFJ letters, but it's a function that they use anyway. And so INFJs can be very organized, very analytical, and very logical. And that's kind of basically the same thing as the J in the INFJ. And finally, at the bottom of their stack is the SE, which INFJs are very bad at. And that is basically practical details and sensory experiences. That doesn't mean that they cannot handle those, but I know even for me as an INFJ, like there's a lot of things that should be common sense that just somehow do not make it into my brain. And the sensory experiences, like, are not really my thing. So all these very different thinking functions all mixed together results in the INFJ, which some people call a walking contradiction, and they don't call it that for no reason, because INFJ is a deep thinker, but also a logical thinker, but also an extreme empath, but also doesn't really like being around people. So that's a walking contradiction. I saw this bit of research though, and it said that most people are either like right-brained or left-brained, dominantly. And especially when they're doing like certain projects or certain things, like you can, if you do a brain scan while they're doing these things, you can see that either their right brain is more functional or their left brain is more functional, like depending on what activities they're doing and what their personality is. But for the INFJ, both sides of their brain are working together, because it is like the contrast between their right brain, which is more like artistic and relational, and the left brain, which is more logical and concrete. They're working together in things. And especially this was even more strong when they were asked to like envision the future and work on really hard, complex problems. Then both sides of their brain were like working together so well. Here's the quote that they said. They said, "Other personality types show this pattern when they are engaged in an area of expertise. The curious thing about INFJs is that they show this state whenever they are asked to do the opposite. For the INFJ, this pattern occurs when they have to tackle an unfamiliar, unusual problem or envision the future." So as an INFJ, being this kind of walking contradiction can be super hard to live with, and I know that from experience. Like, I want something, but I don't know if that's like my feelings wanting it or my logic wanting it, and I don't know which is stronger, and I don't know which I should actually listen to because I don't know which is actually right or which is actually true or which is going to get me into the least trouble, but is it really important to not get into trouble? You know, things like that. Like, we are extreme overthinkers, but also this walking contradiction makes INFJs really good leaders too, because they can look at a problem objectively, they can see what is the problem, the intuitiveness can help them see like what needs to be fixed, how we should fix this, like envision what it should be like. The thinking, the logic helps them actually get down to business and actually work on that, do all the necessary steps, not miss hardly any details, hardly ever. And the feeling helps them to take care of the people who are involved too. And so it's really the balance between being efficient in the workplace and also making sure that everybody's feelings are taken care of, because I have personally seen a lot of leaders where they can be either really efficient and really good at getting the job done, but they don't really take care of people's feelings. Or there's other leaders who take care of people's feelings really well, but they get literally nothing done. And so the INFJ has that really good balance of both of those, and then they are able to accomplish great things and take care of people along the way too. In my opinion, personality traits are very important to leadership. That's not to say that I don't think skills are also important. I think traits and skills are equally important. But if one of those is not there, you can really tell a difference. It's best to get somebody who has both, if at all possible, because like, you can teach somebody all you want to teach them, but if they are naturally not disciplined or whatever it might be, if they naturally don't care for people, if they're naturally not driven or organized enough, then you're still gonna struggle and struggle. So it is best, like, a person's traits get them started and then the skills keep them going. So if you can have both, that is really important. If you have somebody who just has the traits, though, I will say this, if you have somebody who just has the personality traits of a leader, they are going to go much further without the skills than a person who has the skills but not the personality traits. So I think traits are in a way more important, but altogether it's probably really important to have both as much as possible. Well, thank you for coming to my TED Talk on INFJs and trait leadership, and always remember that God made you wonderfully. Bye.